Dear learners, welcome to the session on data visualizations as part of the NPTEL course Science Communication, Research Productivity and Data Analytics using a open source software. See, in this session, we will be covering an overview of data visualization, including what data visualization is, a history of data visualizations, and why data visualization is important in the research. And also, we are going to cover the elements of data visualizations and data visualization skills that required for the researchers and better guideline for data visualizations and also the anatomy of presenting the research graphs in a research. As part of the introduction, data visualization is an important aspect of research activities and it plays the vital role in data analysis and also representation of data research results. The proper data visualizations provide the insights, better patterns, and can help readers to understand the research result better. It establishes the communication between the data and patterns and also increasing the research impact and engagement with readers. See, in academic research and standards require the researchers to use the data visualizations to understand the relationship, to reason about the scientific models, and to communicate the data to others. And it can support it for the decision making in research by helping the researcher to identify the critical trends and patterns in the data. Let us understand quickly about what is data, what is the visualization, and what is data visualizations. See, data are the fact and numbers, letters, and symbols that describes an object, idea, conditions, situations, and other factors. The data is a source of new knowledge and helps identify the novelty of a research. Then it is available in the both qualitative and quantitative format, including numerical, textual, audiovisual, and multimedia, etc. There are researchers who undertake the research, being generating the either qualitative and quantitative research data. What's meaning by the visualizations? See, the visualization is refers to a graphical representations such as a charts, graphs, maps to present the research results and communicate the information. It's been effective way to communicate the both abstract and ideas of informations. And what is meaning by data visualizations? It is anything that convert the data source into a visual representations. It represents the data in a graphical or pictorial formats such as charts, graphs, and maps. It is emerging discipline, data visualizations, and it involves the various fields such as information technology, natural science, statistical analysis, and graphics, and interactions, and data management, and perceptions, expressions, and geographic informations and information technologies. Means the data informations it's involved with the like the presentations and is also shows that processing and display. It can be part of the diagrams and it can be used in the science and it's also the visual communications and object usability. Means we can say that always data visualization is a multidisciplinary. It can be used for every discipline research. The data visualizations is combined the three umbrella terms of data visualizations. The one is information visualizations and scientific visualizations and visual analytics are the infographics. See, information visualization is the process of representing the data visually and meaningfully so that the user can better understanding it. And it plays the important role in making the data digestible and also turning the raw data into the actionable insights. There are a number of information visualizations are the one is the cartograms, concept mapping, information visualization, reference model, and graph drawings, heat map, hyperbolic tree, multidimensional scaling, parallel coordinates, and tree mapping, etc. See, if you can see the examples, it shows the real time internet, how much data generated from the social networks. Like, see here you have a information, here you have a data symbol of social networks, and it is also giving that the icon of social networks, means it presents that real time informations with the visual graphics. One can easily look at it and understand that the each social network, the how much data is generating regularly. Well, one of the best example that we see in the related to the information visualization. And the second umbrella term of data visualization is scientific visualizations. So scientific visualization is a reference to a methodology of quickly and effectively display the scientific data. The use of graphical techniques and methodologies to represent the scientific informations and its many applications. It's a process of displaying the scientific data using the graphical techniques. This kind of visualization can be are using the in the academic research, and the researchers have been creating these scientific visualization graphics using their data collected from the various methodologies. And some of the tools of the scientific visualization are the computer animations and computer simulations, surface rendering, volume rendering, and volume visualizations. The third information visualization umbrella is say infographics. See, the infographics, the visual representation of information, data, or knowledge intended to present the information quickly and clearly. It can be used to telling a story and clarifying the complex informations with evidence-based informations and the research findings. So, using the innovative designs and research targeted audience easily. Here is the another example of science storytelling. See, if you can look at this science storytelling image, yeah, our brain actually they crave the good storytelling when it comes to the marketing, and we are like the excitement, we trust and interesting narratives more than simple messaging. Means in this, the infographic is presented how storytelling affect the brain and how faster this, and also the anatomy of usage of the top marketing tactics, and also formula for smarter contest. But this way, the infographics can be used for visualizing the stories of research. Let's look at the history of data visualizations. See, history of data visualizations can be traced back to the ancient times when the people are using a visual representations such as maps, charts, diagram to show the cities and also the moon, sun and other planets. Although we may think that data visualization as a modern innovations, but it has been visually recorded since the writing was invented. It is started like a tick marks on the tables and chaos as shows in the image. The each group of tick marks with a slash represents set of 5, like the making the total easier to sum. The historical point of view about the data visualization states that philosophers have relied on visual metaphors to analyze the ideas and explain their theories. The data visualization has been used historically to identify the locations and the representations of quantities, distribution of geographical resources, etc. However, the modern concept of data visualization as we know it today, they began to take a shape in 19th century with the evident the new technologies such as computers and software tools and applications. In the 20th century, data visualization has been increasingly used to analyze and communicate the data in the various fields such as the academic, business, finance, healthcare, and science with using the modern various tools and technologies. Now, the why data visualization is important. So when we say that research is a process of identifying the novelty, at the end of the research, researchers used to communicate the research findings to the end user in a better way. Data visualizations can say a lot more than words. The proper data visualizations can provide the better insights, detect the patterns, and help the readers to understand the research findings in a better way. And the data visualization is a powerful tool for cleaning the data, exploring the data structure, detect the outliers and unusual groups, identifying the trends and cluster, spotting the local patterns, and evaluating the modeling outputs and presenting the research results. The most important data visualization is information destiny. Having the large amount of data in the recent times, the data visualization is required for the information destiny. The amount of information present in the given space at the time by summarizing the large amount of informations. And second important is attractive. See, data visualization can visually appeal to catch the reader's attentions on the specific research results. Sometimes the researcher also would like to use the dual coding through the data visualizations, which can refers to a conjunctive theory, suggesting the information is a better processing and understanding when it's shown in the verbal and visual formats simultaneously. It helps the brain to make a quick connections. As in shown in the example of a dual coding theory, see here we have a test in the dog, here we have a picture of the dog. When you are going to present the graphics using the dual code theory, the one can quickly understand the visual representation of the image. The another important of data visualization in the research is the sketchnoting. See, sketchnoting is a combination of simple illustrations with a small amount of text. So when you're going to present the small amount of graphics, the sketchnoting is an important way to communicate or present the research. See, here is an example of sketchnoting. If you can see that here we have a test in the blended learning. At the same way, the related graphics are given for the blended learnings, and also the classrooms, the flipping the classrooms, and this related graphics. And as the MOOC, the online course, we have related graphics. Means the sketchnoting is another way to represent the simple informations in a graphical way with the both textual and graphical manner. Data visualization can help with the knowledge retention by making the data easier to understand and highly important informations. The visualization can improve the decision quality by transferring the complex and abstract data into the clear and engaging graphics. There are few examples given in the screens here. See, this is how the scientific research being presented. Now we have seen that what is the importance of data visualization in the research. Now let's look at the elements. See, when we creating the data visualizations, how it should be and what are the elements the one can look at it for creating the good data visualizations. A good data visualization combines the design, analytics, tools and technologies. It should be a clear and also the correct and attractive. You may having the data, but it may be the complex data set, but if it's the boring, it is not a good data visualizations. But if you have the complicated data arts, so again it is also not part of the good data visualizations. Since if you can only focus on the beautiful, but if you wrongly present the informations, again it is not good data visualizations. Means you have to look at the presenting the data visualizations for creating the with the good data using the right functions and also the using the right design tools. It often involves with the use of algorithm and software and technologies to turn the data in something that can be seen as such as a graph or the chart and animations. And it always called data visualization should be elegant, it not might not be beautiful. And in the era of informations, visual and data literacy are necessary to produce the data visualization and communicate the research results. Therefore, creating a visually appealing and effective data visualization requires the design skills and an understanding design principles, layouts, typography and color theory. So let's look at the what are the data visualization skills that are required for the researchers. The researcher should know the data visualization best practices, including technical proficiency, the visualization designs and principles, data analysis and interpretations, programming languages, statistical languages, and storytelling with the data, data communication skills, effective presentation skills, etc. And let's look at the what are the major skills that are required under the each category. The one means the technical proficiency. See, under the technical proficiency, researcher should know the ability, researcher should have the ability to effectively create, design, and communicate the research results through the various representation of data. Means they should know data visualization tools such as Tableaus or Power BI or online tools of data visualizations such as Canva or the OS viewers or etc. And the visualization design principles. See, knowledge of data visualization design principles such as a color theory, typography, and layout is important for creating a visually appealing visualizations. The another most skills that are required for the researcher is data analysis and interpretation skills. See, proficiency in analyzing and understanding the underlying data is a very crucial. So every researcher do collect the research data, but the very few researchers only know how they can interpret and analyze the data using the various statistical techniques. This also involves of data cleaning, organizing, and summarizing the data to extract the meaningful insights. The another skills that are required for the researcher is programming languages. Some of the data visualization tools may not require for the such a programming language, but there are advanced data visualization tools which has the good features require the programming languages. So, like the tools like Python, Java, R are common. Those require the minimum programming skills for the researcher. And another skills for a researcher is statistical knowledge. See, statistical knowledge understand the concept that helps in creating the meaningful visualizations. This includes the knowledge of measures of central tendency and dispersions, correlations, regressions, etc. Researchers should know how to data storytelling. The ability to tell the compelling story through the data is a very key skill. This involves not just creating the visualization but also interpreting and communicating the insights effectively. And final skills that researchers should have evaluate the data presentations. The ones after creating the data graphics and presentations, they should know how they can evaluate that. See, means it's a process of collecting and analyzing feedback and on the data presentations using the quantitative and qualitative methods. This allows assess the effectiveness and the efficiency of the data presentations, identify the strengths and weaknesses, and discover the opportunities and challenges for improvement. With these skills, researcher can create the meaningful and impactful visualizations that effectively communicate the research findings. Going forward to the data visualization skills, and interesting data visualization topologies that we found through the literature. As part of the data visualization literacy, researchers should know the visualizations that have been classified with the insights, insight needs, and data scale, analysis, and visualization, and graphic symbols, and graphic variables, and interactions. Means here as a researcher, under the insights needs, they should know the what are the categories and clusters are available for creating the data visualizations, and also they should know the orders, rank and slot, distributions, the types, distribution types of data visualizations, and comparison, trends, geospatial, and positions and correlations. Means these are the major types of data visualizations. We will be discussing this data visualization in the later sessions. And again, the researchers also know the what are the data scales. It may be the nominal, ordinal, or interval, and ratio. And when you go for the analysis, they should have the data visualization literacy. Under the analysis are statistical analysis, and temporal analysis, and geospatial analysis, topical and rational analysis. See, after you analyze the data, then you have to move forward the visualization. Means how you are going to visualize your data? Using a table method, or you can use the charts, or one can create the graphs, maps, and tree and network, and also graphical symbols. So you can use the geometric symbols, maybe the points, to identify the values of the test and value of the research results, and you can use the lines or the areas, surface, and volumes, and also you can use the linguistic symbols. It may be the test and numericals and functional marks, and there's a pictorial symbols, maybe the images, icon, graphs. Means researchers should have aware about that the various types of graphic symbols that can be used for presenting the research graphs. And another literacy skills are the graphic variables. The graphic variables include the spectacle, maybe the positions where you have, and rectangle, and the forms, colors, optics, and motions. And after you creating that, the researcher also should have the awareness about the zoom and search and locate and filter, details and demand and history, extract and link, projection and distractions. Means these are the topologies the researcher should have aware about before creating the data visualizations. Now let us look at the some guidelines for better data visualizations. Our ability to visualize scientific data has been involved significantly over the past 40 years. However, this advancement does not necessarily include the many common pitfalls in visualization for scientific research. To address these issues, the few guidelines would help to create the data visualizations for scientific research are: show the data, clear data findings. The researcher should have the clear data findings, and they clean the data before visualizing the data. And when you go for visualizing data, reduce the cluster, avoid the too many details, effectiveness, decoration in the images, and integrate it with the graphics and test. Graphics should be it both test and also be the graphics. It means that it doesn't mean that your graphic or your tables are the graph. It's a full of with only test or full of with only graphics. It's a mix with the both graphics and the test, and also avoid the charts that refers to the type of diagrams and the many overlapping and the taglines. Then you just avoid the overlapping taglines. And color combination is one of the most important aspects of the data visualizations. Just look at the which colors that better visualization for your research results, and most of people been used for the gray. That's been better, and also it's depending upon the what research result and how researcher would like to be present. At the end, you should have the better tool and the right platform. Nowadays you will have many data visualization tools and also the platforms, especially online open access platforms. Now you will find the many platforms. Those platforms and tools will going to be explained in the next session. If you can know those platforms and the tools, you will be creating the better data visualizations without having a much statistical skills or the much programming skills uh, of it. Some guidelines we have given for the anatomy of presenting research graphs in the research. At the end of the research, you will be presenting your graph in the research findings, maybe in the thesis or in article. The how your research graphs or tables should be. You should look at that overall dimensions, mean which dimensions you wanted to be put. Sometimes we have seen the example of putting the images in a very small. We can't clearly look at the what is image is showing that. Now we have to look at the overall dimension, which should be the minimum dimensions of presenting the graphs in a research, and also put the figure number. Most of the researchers should know the APA, the guideline for presenting the figure numbers and also the table numbers, and also give the titles, the graphic titles. It may be the qualitative data, or it may be the some responses, or it may be the some uh, findings, it may be the some of the uh, results. Yeah, it should be have the titles. If that has the subtitle also, we can also have the subtitle. And the graphics always can give you that in a manner that the access tables and labels. You should know that when you presenting the graphics, so what should be the titles and how that label going to be presented, like x y, like say if you have the graphic in a manner, right, you should have a some labels here, you should have a some labels here, you should have a some labels here, and the alex lines and tick marks and grid lines, you should have, you always can put the grid lines and sources of and nodes. If you are going to borrow the image from the particular xyz, you always good to have the source, which sources see this is this images. And some of the researchers also use that it's a researcher, so the one source is a primary data, and also put the notes. If you want to explain about the images, you can also put the notes. So researcher can look at the notes, that will also help the researchers to understand what this research graphics is about. And the other things, it's a logo and legends and data markers and data labels and data series. And see, this all the autonomy is not like we can use the all the autonomy for a single image. Now most of the maximum, like overall dimension, figure number, title, subtitle, tables, labels, and lines, grid line, source. Some of them are the mandatorily researcher has to be used, and others are depends. Others are the depends, like a logo, legends, data labels, data series, data makers. Some of them are the depends. It's also depending upon the what researcher would like to be present in their graphics. To sum up this session, what we have covered in this session are what's mean by the data visualizations, and it's right beginning from the what's mean by data, what's mean by the visualizations, and the data visualizations. And there are three types of data visualizations, that is infographics or information visualizations and scientific visualizations. And also we have briefly look at this history of data visualizations. It's given the clear indicated that it's data visualization, it's not emerging area, though people consider this an emerging area with using the recent tools and technologies, but it's been used in the ancient time, because the ancient time the most of indicators and identifying the locations have been used with the visual maps. And we also looked at that the what is the importance in the data visualization in the research, because in the modern scientific research data visualization has the highly impact when you're presenting the research findings, because the research is the one is impactful insights, but people may not understand if you are not presenting those research findings in a meaning and graphical manner. So therefore data visualization, it has the highly impact, creating the impact for your research, how the better data visualizations. And at the end we also seen that some of the researcher skills. See, being a researcher, we may be expert in the particular exercise of subject, because someone is expert from the physics, someone is expert from the science, is expert from the chemistry, someone is expert from the social sciences and arts and humanities. But data visualization skill, it's like a multidisciplinary. Every researcher should have those skills, at least minimum skills, to analyze their data and visually present their data in a better way. And we have also given you some guidelines. If a researcher would like to present a research data visualization in a better way, what are the minimum guidelines? So with this, we're going to conclude this session as of now. In the coming session, we will be covering the data visualization types, tools for data visualization, and evaluation of data tools, and also data visualization workflow. Thank you.